Declan, we were speaking not too long ago, looking ahead to the semi-final. A lot of the talk is about Croke Park and the new experience and things like that. How did you find it up there against Kilkenny?
Oh, look, it was obviously when we came out the right side of the results. It was hugely enjoyable and tremendous to get over the line. I suppose we struggled early on, and maybe we can put that down to the Croke Park factor. But I think once we got to grips with the game after maybe 18, 19 minutes, I think we were the better team, and we really handled the atmosphere and everything else very well after that.
And when we were speaking last, we were talking about messaging, and it's been hard maybe to get it in to the lads on Croke Park because it's so loud and things like that. How was that experience?
It is quite difficult, but I think at the weekend we were quite fortunate in the ways that most of our substitutions were happening at a time that we also wanted to get in messages, so they were able to take it in with them. And look, I think you have to be really aware of when you have subs going on that if you do have messages that you need to get to certain parts of the field, that it might be the only way you're going to get it in.
Yeah.
So you have to be really conscious of that, and sometimes you can almost it's done and you go, I forgot to tell him. But look, luckily at the weekend, I think between everybody, we managed to get most of our messages onto the field.
Yeah, and looking ahead, before we look ahead to the final, just some of the players I wanted to ask about was Andrew Ormond was one player I just wanted to ask about because he's been in the panel the last few years. It's not like, I think you often see in the national media he's kind of mentioned alongside Darren McCarthy and Sam O'Farrell, but he's 25, like he's been in there for a couple of years at this stage. Has there been anything you've seen different in him this year, or is it just a thing where you've changed his role a bit, or what have you seen from Andrew this year? Because he's kind of not a new player, but he's kind of operating at a way higher level than he had been.
Yeah, look, I suppose maybe he just needed the opportunity. I don't know really is probably the bottom line, but I think maybe early in the year we identified that he might be an option further out the field, why he'd always been operating closer to goals, most likely in a corner. So even if you go back to that first day in Salt Hill in the league, he actually operated at 11 that day for most of the game, and done quite a good job. And we probably didn't revisit it that much during the league. And then obviously after the first two rounds of the championship, we had to, you have to change things. Once it hadn't worked, we'd got to draw with Limerick, and obviously we'd suffered a heavy defeat in Cork. But look, he's been a revelation ever since, and while he mightn't have lit it up with scores on Sunday, look, I think he's work rate and the last 15 minutes, like he won a couple of frees and won a couple of dirty balls, linked the play to Jake for a point to Kim. Was really, really heavily involved, and was very, very active and had huge contributions to the game.
Yeah, it's been brilliant from him all season. And just looking at Cork now for the final, this is the fourth meeting between the teams. They're so dangerous. We all kind of know that. But from looking in as a selector and kind of you're tasked over the next kind of week, 10 days, putting together a game plan. Cork throw up a lot of kind of puzzles, I suppose, for opposition teams.
Choice of words. Yeah, look, they do. There's no point saying any different. Look, they're a little bit different to everybody else. They really hunt goals. They get the ball into the inside line really, really quickly. So if you're not competitive in the middle third, it's gone in by you before you get to maybe put in a challenge. If you stand off inside, they're gone out in front and they have it won and they're turning and they're coming at you. So look, we just have to sit down and bang heads. And look, you've hit the nail on the head. They probably are the most difficult team to try and figure out, and how you stop them, I suppose, is really the big challenge. But look, we'll do our best, and we'll see what we can come up in the next few days.
It must be nice so far this year that after in most games we've got a really good impact off the bench, whether that be Oisin or Noel or Alan Tyne in the last day. That's probably a good sign of where the squad is at, because lads aren't just sitting back thinking, oh God, I'm a sub again. They're coming on and impacting the game, and Noel probably leads that a bit as well, because it could be easy for someone like Noel McGrath to say, look, if I'm not starting, I've given enough now to this, I'll sit back. But
I know,
getting that impact is unreal.
I think to be fair, look, our bench has made huge contributions, particularly since, I would say, the Clare game. And I think every day since that, we've emptied the bench, we've used our 5 subs, and I think we've got really, really good contributions from nearly every one of them substitutions. I know some might only get 5 minutes, but they still have been involved in a couple of plays somewhere in the game when they've come on. And look, it's a great place to be. And the other side of it is, it hasn't been the same 5. It's not like the same 5 are coming on every day. We've changed around a bit, so everyone can see that we'll give opportunities whatever might be necessitated on any given day. So everyone is, it's hugely challenging inside in training, trying to get positions on the team.
It's a funny game in a way, like, because that Clare game was such a turning point, really. Because if we'd lost that game, sure, that was kind of it. I think was it Ryan Taylor running through, and his hand pass to Peter Duggan was a little bit over his head right at the very end, like, and here we are now, looking ahead to an All-Ireland final all these months later. It's a funny game.
Yeah, look, I suppose somebody said at the weekend, I suppose that, we were probably a few % off last year, and we're a few % the other way this year, so you stick them together, it's quite a sizable amount, but that's probably what a lot of it is. And I think, there's huge belief, and I think, you can't underestimate what Liam has done this year, the way he's, taken control right from the off and knew what he wanted, and look, everybody bought in from top to bottom, and we all went after it as best we could.
Yeah, and it's clearly working into an All-Ireland final. All-Ireland finals are such an important day in the calendars of sporting people in Ireland. Yourself, kind of All-Ireland memories, any kind of ones that stick out?
No, we were just talking, I suppose, some of my early ones obviously were 88, 89, when we ourselves in Galway were going hammer and tongs at. I think I vaguely remember going into school the following morning, and one of my old teachers, who was a former county chairman, not being too happy after 88. And look, fortunately we turned things around the year after and got over the line.
Yeah, it's brilliant though, like the All-Ireland final. We're talking about 89, 91, Michael Cleary's goal. You say a year in an All-Ireland final and people nearly remember something from each game. Like, it's going to be great to be a part of a day like that.
Yeah, look, it's wonderful, but at the end of the day, they're games you want to go try and win, and we'll be no different, and we'll do our utmost to try and achieve that.
Hopefully we do, and best luck, Declan. Thanks.
Thanks for winning, Paul.